don't want to be an elf. I don't like elves. Is that terrible to say? I don't like elves. Elves are overrated, and they're overdone. Shenanigans back again, and welcome to MMOMG. This month, I'm checking out The Elder Scrolls Online, developed by ZeniMax, published by Bethesda, and originally released in 2014. It should be noted that I normally only cover free-to-play titles, but a viewer graciously gifted this to me, and I felt it was only appropriate to try it out as soon as possible. I know that some of you are going to say, oh, wait, ESO went free-to-play back in 2015, which is technically kinda true, but also not. See, the mandatory subscription model was dropped, but you still need to purchase the game itself, making its business model closer to that of, say, a buy-to-play affair. I'll come back to this topic in a later video, but for now, let's look at the game itself. The Elder Scrolls Online is a class-based theme park MMO with an above-average number of character options. There are 10 races to choose from, each with a handful of specific bonus skills. For the most part, your choice of race also determines which of the game's 3 factions and starting areas you'll join. Visually speaking, character creation has a variety of settings with a large number of sliders for tweaking your appearance. Unlike many other class-based systems, ESO characters can use any type of weapon or armor and have the capability to perform any combat role depending on your gear and skill selection. Choosing a class is therefore more about your preferred playstyle and aesthetics instead of making a compromise due to class limitations. The 5 classes are as follows. Dragon Knights combine melee weapon training and fire magic with crowd control and protective abilities. Nightblades specialize in single target attacks, typically from a position of stealth. They are adept at both ranged and melee combat and can weaken enemies via magic. Sorcerers unleash powerful magic on their enemies and can summon Daedric minions into battle, making it the first pet class. They also have access to protective and restorative magic, including crowd control effects. Templars have the ability to wield the light to damage, debuff, and heal, which they supplement with melee combat. Wardens were introduced in the Morrowind expansion in 2017. They use the power of nature to heal, summon animals, and shield from attacks with ice. Characters begin with access to their class, racial, and all trade skill lines, but more become available during play, providing you with an abundance of choices. The amount of build options for a class-based system here is somewhat staggering, almost to the point of being skill-based light. While the system itself is a little different, the end result somewhat reminds me of a Champions Online free-form character build, where you're likely to stay within a couple of main trees, but you can still pluck a few skills here and there to round out or maximize your character. This level of flexibility is great, but there's definitely a learning curve involved. If you're entertaining the thought of tanking, you might want to think a bit ahead about your build, as access to public dungeons starts as early as level 10. For damage builds, especially solo players, you really only need to decide which ultimate skill you prefer to get first, start working towards that, at least early on. Combat in ESO is relatively fluid using a reticle-based system. You can attack with your equipped weapon using the left mouse button and perform a block with the right. You can even interrupt some attacks by pressing both buttons at the same time. Double tapping a direction allows you to dodge roll, which is useful to avoid enemy AoEs. Blocking, rolling, sprinting, and other abilities require stamina, but overall the system feels a little more generous than some of the other reticle-based combat MMOs I've played, such as Secret World Legends and WildStar. Elder Scrolls Online makes heavy use of level scaling for both open world and instanced content. This allows for a lot of freedom, whether grouping with friends or playing solo. Just pick a place to go and adventure with no hassles. Unfortunately, this also removes a lot of the challenge from the game, at least while leveling. Exploration is encouraged, which is great, but to the point of having no real danger, as you'll never be under-leveled for an area. There's very little challenge in combat itself, which takes a lot of the excitement out of adventuring. The only time I've died was when I accidentally triggered a world boss while I was all by myself. I'm not sure if giving up any real sense of challenge is the best trade-off for freedom to explore without limitation. Speaking of challenge, one of the biggest gatekeepers of ESO, at least for the Steam edition, seems to be installing it. Steam says the download is almost 67 gigabytes, but it doesn't tell you that ESO requires another 87 gigs of free space to actually install. This is a really important fact, especially if you're working with limited or fluctuating free hard drive space. Not knowing about this extra required space, I initially tried to install ESO to a drive that didn't have enough room, leading to a host of computer issues as a result. I had multiple blue screen of death errors, and it took me 2 weeks to get things back in working order. Additionally, make sure to update your GPU drivers before installing, as I got yet another blue screen due to a graphics driver issue midstream on my first day of play. While ESO isn't directly responsible for my computer issues, it should be noted that I haven't seen a blue screen of death in years up to this point. Running a variety of software, including well over 150 other games, has never caused this level of trouble. I think it's fair to say that ESO can at least be a little finicky when it comes to your computer settings. Thankfully, the game's been running smooth ever since I got those issues sorted out. I adventured throughout most of Vardenfell during my first 2 weeks, and joined for at least one random dungeon after hitting level 10. After about 2 weeks of play, 25 hours, my Breton Warden is level 14 and currently focusing on animal companions for solo content. In the coming weeks, I'll decide what roles I want to play in group settings and build accordingly. Next time, I plan to discuss crafting, dungeons, and anything else of interest in ESO. Join me in-game on the NA server, or watch live Sundays through Wednesdays starting 9 p.m. Eastern Time on YouTube, Twitch, Mixer, or Smashcast. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe for more gaming content. Follow me on Twitter to stay updated on everything I post, videos, articles, giveaways, and more. My videos are ad-free, so if you'd like to support me, check out my Etsy shop or Patreon for cool rewards and merchandise. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, take care, guys. She's wearing some kind of a corset thing there. Is that to actually give her some kind of a female form? Because biologically, I don't understand why lizards would have any type of a breasts of any kind. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
I purchase the deed and give it to
That's where the eggs drop.
Sponsor my next promotion.
That makes perfect sense now.
This space belongs to me.
It is kind of cool that we've
Best of all, I can stop
been
hiding.
seeing characters from the intro.
Or hide scrolls in my bodice.
That's what she's doing. She's hiding scrolls, guys.